Hola amigos, bien o no. Saludos otra vez desde Medellín. Hoy, transportación. Especialmente porque es confunde muchos como estudiantes. Are we on, in, off, out, or are we going by or with? Ese es el tema de hoy. Okay, so planes, trains, automobiles. So aeroplanes, trains, cars, buses, lorries, taxis, motorbikes, even horses. Depending on how we're travelling, often we say we're going in, on, or by. But which is which? How do we know? Well, one general rule we can apply is to look at whether you're able to stand up or whether you need to sit down to get into or operate the machinery. So for instance, when we're on a boat or a plane, as we enter the boat or the plane, and we can walk to our seat, so we're standing up as we're walking to our seat. We're getting onto a train or a bus, again we're standing up and we're walking to our seat. But when we're looking at things like cars, lorries, taxis, motorbikes, or even a horse, we have to sit down immediately. You can't like walk inside the car, you have to sit down straight away. So that's maybe one way to help you remember it. But we're going to look at how we say for each different form of the transport. Okay. So let's start with boats or planes. Boats or planes. So for a boat or a plane, we would say, I'm on the plane. I'm on the plane, I'm on the boat. When we're describing our journey, we could say, I'm going by plane, or I'm going by boat. So we say, well, how are you travelling there? How are you going on your holiday? How are you getting there? I'm going by plane, I'm going by boat. One thing we'll also hear is please board. This is something peculiar to boats and planes. They ask you to please board. So you go aboard the boat and you go aboard the plane. Please board now. Yeah. Then we would say I'm on flight BA387. I'm on the flight, like I'm on the plane or I'm on the boat. And I'm travelling with. We say I'm travelling with because, and then we talk about the company we're with. So I'm travelling with, let's say, Avianca, I'm travelling with British Airways, I'm travelling with American Airways, whatever. So for planes and boats, we're on, and then when we get to where we're going, we get off the plane, we get off the boat. So we get on, we get off. Yeah? And we travel by. And if we talk about trains and buses, basically it's the same. I'm on the bus, I'm on the train, I'm going by bus, I'm going by train. And one thing you'll hear particularly on railway platforms, they actually shout out to let you know the train is about to leave, and they will actually say all aboard, to remind you the train's leaving now. Let's get on now, please. Yeah, all aboard. And then again, we would say, I'm on the, maybe like the 11:45 train from Waterloo. And again, if you say where we're travelling, say I'm travelling with, and perhaps give the name of the company, so I'm travelling with Southern Railways. As for saying who you're travelling with, of course, it can be with a person. So maybe you're not travelling alone, maybe you're travelling with your friends, so you could be saying something like, I'm travelling with Susan, or I'm going with Susan. Or of course you could be going on my own, going on your own. So I'm going on my own, or I'm travelling on my own. just with me, no one else. Yeah? But in any case, you're going with or travelling with either the company or with someone. But again, for trains and buses, you get on and get off. Yeah. Now, here we go with cars. So cars, lorries, vans, taxis. I'm in the car. I'm in the car. I'm in the lorry. And we would say, get in, get in, get in the car. Get in the lorry. Now, for lorries, there's a peculiar one here, because in England particularly, we have a secondary word for a taxi. We also call taxis a cab. I'm going to take a cab, because I'm going to get a taxi. I'm going to take a cab to go to the party. I'm going to take a cab to come home. Yeah, I'm going to take a taxi. So cab and taxi in England are an interchangeable word. You could use them, it means the same thing. But the cab is also this part of a lorry, only for lorries, really big vehicles. The cab is the bit where the driver sits. Just those seats there. That's the cab of the lorry. So if you're working with someone and you're going to travel in the lorry, they would say, get in the cab, which they mean is get into the lorry, not in the back. They mean get in the cab at the front, where the seats are, not at the back. Yeah. So something to be aware of. Particularly if you work in transport, the cab, they're talking about the lorry, the front of the lorry where the driver sits. But if we're not talking in the context of transport or logistics, and we're talking about cabs, we're probably talking about taxis. So we're getting in the car, and then when we're there, we say, I'm in the car. You're on the phone perhaps to your friend while you're travelling, I'm in the car. Yeah. You can say, I'm going by car. How are you getting there? How are you getting there? Oh, I'm going by car. I'm going by car. Obviously, when we get there, we're going to get out of the car. So we get in and we get out. So it's in, out. And notice, for cars and lorries, we are generally sat down. As we get in, we literally take our seat immediately. We don't walk around inside the car because it's quite small. Whereas for the bus, the train, plane, and the boat, for instance, we have to walk to our seat. So that sense we're standing up. So that's probably the easy way to see the difference. So we get out of the car. Now another thing to remember, and this is just something separate if we're talking about lorries and transportation, obviously we're not really talking about passengers. We're talking about goods, freight, things like that. So we're shipping things, even though it's not a boat. So when we're talking about lorries, we're still talking about shipping. So we're shipping, or perhaps we're sending the goods, the objects, by lorry. We're sending them by lorry or by road. And then when you get there, we're unloading. So we load it and then we unload it. So we load it and we unload it, which basically is we're taking off the pallets. Yeah. So in that sense, we would use the word off when we're talking about lorries, but only because we're taking off the pallets that we've loaded onto the lorry. But often we refer to it as unloading. But as us as passengers, cars, lorries, taxis, we get in and we get out. In and out. Yeah. And the last one, motorbikes, bicycles, horses, even. You get on. So I'm on the bike. I'm on the motorbike. I'm on the horse. I'm going by bike. I'm going by horse, if you are, perhaps. Caballo, never know. And then again, so we get on or we get off. So get off your horse, if you're John Wayne. So there we go. And one last thing to mention before I forget it. Planes and boats. Obviously, you're probably familiar with this one because if you go on holiday a lot, there's the kind of terminology you hear. Obviously, When the plane's leaving, it's taking off and then lands. It's taking off and landing. And for boats are just leaving, but when they arrive to their destination, they are docking. They're docking, because the place where the boat ends up is called a dock. So they're docking. There we go. Who knew? Okay, so I hope this one was interesting and useful to you. Por favor, déjame saber en los comentarios if you enjoyed this one. I hope so. And until tomorrow, cheerio for now.